So you started working at the gym when you came here, and you're doing that. But you never did gymnastics after you were a kid.
No.
Were you always in shape and fit once you kind of, got yourself cleaned up?
Pretty much. I was.
Like, when did you start working
anyway.
out? Like, when did you decide, like, that was a thing?
I officially started working out in my early 20s. Well, no, I did a little bit in college while I was cheering because I was a smaller guy.
Mm-hmm.
I was like this height, 140. And all the other guys were like taller and 200, which is not conducive for cheerleading.
Yeah.
To be a tall
But
guy.
140 is small.
So I was that, which was, yes, but it worked out well for me. It was fine. I was the tumbler, and none of the other guys were tumblers, so I could tumble, and I was still strong, so I could do decent stunts. I couldn't do what a lot of the other guys were doing, but I could do enough.
Mm-hmm.
So, and when it came out tryout time, I had too much experience in all these other things.
Yeah.
So I could do cheers better than they could. I could do the jumps better than they could do. I could do all that stuff better. So tryouts come around. I had the highest score out of boys and girls.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So it's like it worked out fine for me. It was,
Yeah. When did fitness become, the lifestyle that it was when I met you?
Truly, when I came to Myrtle Beach, was probably, I was starting to be more into working out, like my early 20s. There was a Gold's Fitness that was open. Decided I wanted to just go in, but I wasn't working anything but machines. I wasn't comfortable enough to do anything else. But also there was a guy there who was teaching Muay Thai. And I mean, not like cardio Muay Thai. Like he was like, no, I'm not teaching that.
Like
he was a military guy. He's like, I'm teaching Muay Thai. And I was like, ooh, I like this. Let me try that. So I was doing those two things, and I really liked doing that. And I did that for a few years. And then I kind of just, life happened again. It's like, I'm not well yet. I'm not clear of mind to be able to handle all those things happening at one time. So I cast that away again. So that truly, when I came to Myrtle Beach, like a year or two in, and I was like, okay, I'm going to start working out somewhere. And about that time is when Sky Fitness opened around the corner from where I was
where you were living, yeah.
Yeah, and it was 24/7. I was like, that's perfect, because I don't like working out in the daytime.
And probably with a lot of people.
I was working out at night when I was at Gold's, but I don't have time to work at night now, so it's before I work now. But that was the mentality at the time. But that's when I started being a little bit more serious, was when Sky, right around when it opened.
Okay.
It's like not exactly when it opened, but I was one of the first people to be there.
What made you decide to start competing, like to take it to that level?
Sorry. All right, so one of the things that I wanted to face was my insecurities about myself physically.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was younger, I for people who have kids, or if you have nieces or nephews, please be careful of the words you use when you're talking to them, because in your mind it might seem innocent, but for them it can develop a complex. And it's one of the things I remember for me that I'm extremely careful of when I'm talking to my gymnast. And if there's something I want to talk to them about when it comes to their body, I have to make sure I'm saying it in a way so they understand I'm talking about within the context of gymnastics and form and technique and strength. And I can't make fun of any of the things that, that can be seen that way.
Yeah.
We'll joke about certain things like that. And it's like I may say something, what's your toenail doing over there? Just something like off kilter like that. But like when I was younger, I would have family members like, oh, your legs are so skinny, or you're so skinny, you should do this and that. And I just developed this complex. And I think that's another reason why I didn't do sports anymore.
As a skinny kid? You had a complex as being a skinny kid?
Mm-hmm. I know.
It's hard for me to envision because I've never seen you skinny.
And I mean,
So it's hard
again,
to
I was in high
imagine.
school, 5'9", 120.
Yeah.
So,
Were
but
you still that thin when you started working out when you came to Myrtle Beach, or
no, I
like you
think
would?
I was about 150, 160. I
Okay.
think that's where
That's
I
still
was.
light though for your height, right? Like I mean, you're not a short
I
guy.
think, yeah, I think for somebody who's probably athletic,
Mm-hmm.
that's about
Okay.
right.
Yeah, it's lean. Yeah.
You know, but and I just needed to. I was like, I got to get over this part. This
Mm-hmm.
is one of those things I'm not dragging with me anymore.
So is so when you started kind of working out, and the thing that kind of like pushes you, you like when you were bodybuilding, is that you've always felt like you were too thin or too small?
No, I didn't. I didn't think I was. I didn't. I didn't have dysmorphia like that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I had a healthy dysmorphia.
Like,
I
what were your areas that you did have that dysmorphia? Because I remember, I don't know if it was like Facebook post or a conversation that we had, and like you mentioned, like, I'm getting over my dysmorphia, and I'm like, what are you talking about?
that's a different dysmorphia.
Like, what
I don't think
psychological
I
is
had
that?
any area I really felt was weak. My legs could have always been better because I just have long
Mm-hmm.
legs for a short body. I tell people I have 5'11" arms and legs, but a 5'7" torso.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I have a very short torso. I'm probably sitting here right now and I look like this in the camera.
You enjoy
But I
it.
have really long arms and legs, so the muscle builds a little differently for me. So I know for me legs was hard, but I didn't train weights like that, so I didn't know how to put size on, so I didn't really think about it that much.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that, and it's funny because Dale said this to me this morning because he knew that you and I were sitting down today, and I said, like, oh, well, we'll talk about when we met and like, working out in the gym and stuff, and he said, yes, you're gonna bring up, how. Brian was a guy who was always doing the weird workouts in the gym, and I was like, sure.
Because I'm a gymnast, and I did.
Well,
It's
but
not weird.
but at the time
it's
didn't
just,
know that, right? So like, again, like seeing you like in the beginning, it's like he's doing different workouts, right? But like again, and this is something that I learned from seeing a lot of people in the gym, that have come over the years, and like the ones who honestly look the best and who are clearly succeeding at what they're doing aren't doing what everybody else
right.
is doing.
Yeah.
Right? So like, when I looked at the things that you were doing, it was like, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Like I think the thing that Dale had pointed out was, doing chest press on the hyperextension facing the opposite direction. And I was like, okay,
Yeah.
I get it. Like
Yeah.
he's, he's holding his core steady and like, while he's doing the exercise makes sense.
Right.
Right. But like, again, where does that come from? Now, don't get me wrong. Spending enough time with Shell,
Right.
you see some weird workouts that he
Right.
does too. Totally different though. Like his
Right.
are just, from working out however many years, this is how you hit this very specific
Yeah.
thing.
Exactly.
Right. But like your workouts were always much more holistic.
Yeah.
Which is what I found. Like I said, like never seeing you do shoulders, but like these huge boulder shoulders, right? It was because of everything else that you were doing. And a lot of
Yeah.
it being body weight exercises.
Yeah. I
That's going to come from gymnastics, like just learning those kinds of movements.
from
right?
yeah that's I have a much better understanding of the way my body works.
Like
That's
the
my,
physiology
that's
of it,
my
yeah.
job. Yeah, as a gymnastics coach, I think a
Yeah.
lot of people mistake how they slip into their mind that gymnastics is easy because they're used to the idea of how you work out for football and
Mm-hmm.
baseball and all that stuff and what you do in the gym. I'm like, no, it's the hardest sport you're ever going to do.
yeah.
What you have to do to get your body to the things you have to do to get your physiology, to use physics, to put your body in certain positions, it
Yeah.
is not easy. And it's mentally the hardest sport in the world. You literally have to
Yeah.
train your body to ignore every defense
Every
it
instinct,
has
yeah.
built for millions of years to
It's
do
true, yeah.
something. So when people were on Simone about the twisties, they were talking to the wrong person because
Mm-hmm.
I let them have it. Somebody here said something. It's like, oh, she's just a quitter, and I gave up. It's like, no, you seem to not understand what just happened to her.
Yeah.
The twisties, it sounds so innocent. And people are like, oh, she
Yeah, they
should
put a
just
nice word
went.
on it. Yeah.
It's like, you just brave through that stuff. It's like, no, if I'm her coach, I'm saying sit down.
Yeah. Like,
She could have died. She
Yeah.
had no control over what her body, the fact that she's as strong as she was and her legs didn't literally snap like that video everybody's seen of the girl doing the double front and her legs went.
yeah.
The fact she's strong enough that that didn't happen, that's a testament to how amazing
Yeah.
an athlete she is. Your brain, for some reason, it's like the phone dashboard, the old phone dashboard where they're pulling a wire here and plugging it in, plugging it here. Your brain, for some reason, somewhere, takes that wire and moves it over here.
Yeah.
And there's nothing you can do. Now it thinks upside down is right side up,
Yeah.
and you naturally pop open. The years of training you've done to have body awareness just
Yeah.
goes away.
Yeah.
And for her, I'm pretty sure it came from the fact that 2 months later, she knew she was going to have to testify in front of Congress.
Yeah, the psychology of like just all of what was going on at the time.
And I could tell at Olympic trials, I was like, something's not right. She's missing
Yeah.
stuff in a way she never did. And then that happened. And I can guarantee that's what it was. It's that thing, that mentality, it's all here. I think some of the most physically talented athletes, I think we've had more physically talented athletes than her. But they didn't have this.
Yeah,
Not
mental
many more.
fortitude. Yeah.
Not many more, because she's like perfect. She's 4'8",
Yeah.
and she's nothing but muscle, and she has air awareness like nobody.
Yeah.
But this thing,
Yeah.
people don't understand how hard this sport is. They mistake it as, oh, it's just tumbling in the backyard. Oh, it's just like, no, we don't take time off.
Yeah.
You do football, y'all take time off.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah.
We don't
Well, you
take time
can't.
off. Every day
Yeah.
we have to work.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, it's funny because, like, I always understood, you can look at people doing gymnastics and see, like, okay, like, the arm strength and the leg strength and the balance and the awareness, like you said. But, like, the thing that got me is when we had you teaching core class, right? And
that was an evil laugh. But
yes, but like you come and you take Brian's core class. He's like, well, no, we're gonna do core, and this is what you need to do. You need to learn how to do hollow
and
hollow
stabilize
core,
and
like
all that stuff.
and that this is what we do in gymnastics. And like all of a sudden, I realized, like, well, this is kind of the root of so much of what they're doing, right? Because, like, forget the arm strength and leg strength and all that kind of stuff.
It comes from there. Yeah.
Your core like that, I mean,
Everything
and
disconnects if you don't. Your arms do this and your legs do this. You
it's
need something to keep the
hard.
thing together.
Yeah, hard.
Yeah, that's why
And
you
just
see their
like-
abs popping out of their leos.
Yeah. Like just the thing of just, because I remember you teaching us, like, just lifting your legs up and like, but you have to like hold that core position.
Yeah.
And that's what holds you steady to do that. Like,
Right.
like, wow, okay, now this makes sense that this is how they do these things.
Yeah.
But that's really fucking hard.
Yes. Now imagine having to get your legs even closer and then spin through the air and then catch a bar or land on your feet or land on a 4-inch beam while doing all of that.
Yeah.
And I did that class because I wanted people to understand how their bodies moved.
Yeah.
And that the people don't understand the disconnect between the connection or the disconnect between you get this by making sure you have this.
Yeah.
And if you try
Yeah.
to do it without this, you're setting your body up to break down.
Yeah.
If your core is not strong enough while you're trying to do this motion, you're building an injury waiting to happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's, people see like, oh, I'm going to go take a core class. And it's like, it's for my abs. And it's like, no. And like that was the one thing that I thought was great about that class is that it was true core, right? Like this is like the center, like it is at the center of your body and how to make that what it needs to be.
And just actual movements you would actually do.
Yeah. And it's
how
not
you
about
should
getting a
manage them.
6-pack. It's about the strength in your core. And like that was like something like that I'd never experienced before because, not a gymnastic person, but but it just totally opened my eyes to the difficulty of that as a sport.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's unlike any other sport. Like it is all about that.
Yeah.
Right. And if you ain't got that, forget it.
No,
Like, you're done.
they have to be extremely disciplined to do that stuff, and that was one of the reasons why probably people saw me approach things differently. And Jim, although I think that people who I'm not gonna say truly know what they're doing, but have been around long enough to get to a certain place are all going to look different because they've learned that the cookie cutter doesn't work.
Yeah.
So everybody goes, wow, that's weird. That's different. Why are you doing that? It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
because they're not doing what they saw on TikTok. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's that. Yeah.
They're not faking their way through it. They're
Yeah.
like, no, this is what you do to get to this. You
Yeah.
got to do this. You got to do that. This is that little stuff you have to do,
Yeah.
not that stuff that makes you look like, yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Bro, what's your bench?
Yeah.
It's like, no.
Yeah.
It's
Like
I bench
you're not
nothing.
seeing
I don't
an
do any
Instagram
bench.
dude doing, hollow core exercises. Like, it was just really like whatever,
Yeah.
what everybody should be doing, like, and that's, I said, like, and you had that physique from the moment that I met you. And I think a lot of it is attributable to that, right?
Yeah.
Just the difference in how, you approached it,
Yeah. I mean, it is true that genetics do play a big part.
Sure,
they
but
do.
I mean,
but you
it's-
still
but
have
it's
to do
training
the
your
work.
body too.
You
Yeah.
still have to do the work.
You just got to know what to do with it.
I would tell people
Yeah.
all the time when they're like, "How do you get that?" It's like, "How do you get shoulders?" Like, "How often do you work your shoulders? How often do you do arms?" Like, "I don't do arms."
Yeah.
What? I don't do arms. What do you mean you don't do your arms? Your arms are like this big. It's like, I don't do arms. You have to use arms. It's like, but they're not my primary.
Right. Yeah.
Because I know if I use them, they blow up fast. If
Right.
I do my shoulders, they blow up fast.
Yeah.
So anytime I'm doing an exercise, they can be secondary or tertiary.
Mm-hmm.
But primarily, I'll work the chest, I'll work my back, I'll work my lats. But I don't do anything that's built for this. I don't do any curls. I don't do any of that because they would like blow up.
Mm-hmm.
I have size now, but not like like it was crazy then. This shirt would be like this. But that's just, I just knew what my body needed. And, getting back to how I actually started was I just watched everybody who was in the gym and I would hear them talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd hear Will talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I would, this is why I laughed earlier, because I would look at them and go, I'm better than that. I'm better than that. I could do
And
this.
like you were watching people who were probably on the competition team at the time too, and like, yeah.
And there was one person, I don't know who it was, and that's when my brain went, all right, do it. I was working out, I had my headphones on, and this guy just comes up to me and he goes like that, and I take my headphones off, and he looks over at Will and he goes, this Will, this is what you're supposed to have on your team. This is what you need to get on your team. You're supposed to look like this. And I was like, oh, okay. And that's not shortly after that, I walked into Will's office and went, so what do I have to do
Sign
to get
me
ready
up.
for the next competition? He's like, next competition's in like, what do you say, 9 weeks or something like that?
That's brief.
And I was like, okay.
How did you take to the dieting?
Horribly. I would probably still be doing it if it wasn't for the dieting. The diet, not so much. It's the last 2 weeks are horrific.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely just, it's just horrible. It's, and eventually you feel what you're doing to your body when you do that.
Yeah.
And it just got to a point where I went, okay, I've achieved everything I've wanted to achieve. I said I wanted to be pro in 2 years, did it 2 years to the day. I wanted to win a pro competition. I did that. I did what I wanted to do. I'm good. I don't need sponsorships. I'm not trying to get Olympia. Once I did that,
You were good.
I knew I was good. I went to my
Yeah.
last competition and I kind of forced my way through it. I was like, I said I was going to do it, so I'm going to go do it.
Yeah.
And I sat in that hotel room before I competed and I went, I'm done. I'm done.
I think you said you were by yourself too, right?
Yeah,
Like that was
I
a
was
big
by
part of it.
myself.
Is like, what am I doing?
I was just there and I was like,
Yeah.
I'm done. I don't
need it anymore. Yeah.
I've done everything. Right now it's a chore now.
Yeah.
And
And so after that, I think you said you went and focused more on kind of the gymnastics, like floor programming, right? And the routines, and like you started to get like requests from just people all over looking for you to do their routines, right?
Yeah, about that time I made a website. And there were times for example, I went to Baton Rouge. I got a message from them to go down there and do 20 routines.
Oh my God.
So I'm going back there. And I went down there and I did like maybe 10 or 12 routines. And I was also prepping for a meet, like within less than 6 weeks. And so I found a hotel next to a gym. So I could go in there at least 2 or 3 times a day, and then I'm trying to maintain the diet while I'm doing 3 or 4, 5 routines in a day, just trying to knock it out,
Yeah.
knock it out, knock it out. I mean, I was in shape enough to do it, so it was fine. And now I'm older, and I'm like, I do 2 routines, and I'm like, I can sit down, y'all. These knees ain't like they used to be. So
Well, how much of it do you have to demonstrate?
I do it all. I do it all. I get on. I go through
Like
every ounce
part
of
of
the
it,
dance.
even like the hardcore tumbling parts, or you're just like,
No,
okay,
I don't.
then you
We
can
don't
do
put the
this.
tumbling. Don't put the tumbling in. I just that's
Okay.
just structured around. We get to that part like da 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 da. You dance. We run over to the next corner instead,
Okay.
or stuff like that. The skills we don't really put in. I just put there. I leave the spaces for that.
Okay.
Every now and then I might put in some fancy artistic kind of gymnastics, like this last routine I just did last weekend. Was it last weekend? Yeah. I told her, I was like, okay. And I laughed and I went, okay, this is going to be wild. I was like, we're going to do this. You're going to kick. You're going to grab your leg like this. And then you're going to do it. And then you're going to drop your leg back like this. And then you're going to kick and you're going to jump in the air and twist. And you're going to land down on your stomach. And as soon as you land on your stomach, you're going to bounce. And you're going to go to this push-up position and fling your leg onto your elbow. And she just looked at me like this. And I was like, watch. I was like, ooh, I haven't done that in a while. It's like since September, my knee had been injured. So, you know that feeling of when you're injured and then all of a sudden you're not injured and you're like, the hills are alive. And you're like, oh, I feel like I can move again.
Yeah.
I just felt free. I was like, okay, I can do this now.
Yeah.
So I might demonstrate some of that stuff, not all of it. Like, no, it's like that. Not that part, but
Yeah.
every dance movement, all that stuff I'm doing. I do all of it. So.
Nice.
It's fun. I love it. I love it. It's my niche in the sport. It's like everybody's got their thing in the sport. It's like if you coach in football, it's like you might go, hey, I like coaching the quarterbacks or the receivers.
Yeah.
It's like for me,
Your
it's
favorite
like I
position, yeah.
love floor and floor choreography. That's my niche. That's the thing I'm known for. It's like so yeah. So I mean I've got a website and I've cleaned it up a little bit because I also learned some SEO stuff for digital marketing. So I cleaned it up a little bit, and that gave me even more access. But yeah, it's opened up like
That's
doors
awesome.
for people to see my work and ask me to do some work. So
Yeah. So I definitely want to ask you, kind of just about just all of the drama and craziness that has gone on in gymnastics over the years, right? Like, because just like, it's not like you couldn't tell that gymnastics was one of those sports that, like, the kids were kind of being pushed probably more than they should have been, or should be, at younger and younger ages for, this period of time. But just, all of a sudden it all came to a head. Yeah. Right. And so, like, what's it like now versus then as, a coach like yourself?
It's there. When people think about it, there needs to be. There we go. I keep stepping away from the mic, so I'm sure people heard an echo. You have to separate the two. So where I am would be the developmental program. It used to be called the Junior Olympic program. Now it's called developmental. And that would be levels 1 through 10. And level 10 is a lot of those kids are going to be your collegiate kids. Okay. Then some will move on and they'll go through the junior elite program and then go to the senior elite. Elite is where you pick your Olympic team, your world team. Those are the nationals you see on TV usually. And there's a very, very minute group of kids. If there's 100 of them in the country, I'd be surprised. So that's where the big part that people saw was happening. But people should not be fooled into thinking it is not everywhere.
Yeah, that's not pervasive.
But for a lot of us, I can speak for myself, when the whole Larry Nassar thing went down, I was angry, and a lot of coaches were angry because why we're having to do, we had to, like, every year you sign up, you do a membership, but then it turned into safety certification. That's a good thing. Then it turned into a background check. Like, okay, I understand why you want a background check. Then it turned into safe sport testing, and we're like, you've got all of us doing all this stuff down here,
Mm-hmm.
but your cosmetic problem is up there.
Yeah.
Why are we having to do all this work because you screwed up?
Yeah.
Why are we having to figure out how to maintain our programs to make it so that parents trust that their kids are going to be able to come in through these doors and be taken care of
Yeah.
when you're doing that? Why are we towing the wagon? Why? So I know for me it was extremely just angering, but it also was something that pushed me even more to say, now I have to be even more of a light. I have to be even more of a representative of what's good. And I have to push to be good and better and let people see, no, look, the majority is like this.
Yeah.
This is what we are. I think the problem with what happened with gymnastics is to give you a gymnastics education. Olga Corbett, when she came in, she was the little gymnastics pixie. She was the first one where you went as a 15, 16-year-old.
Okay.
Usually it was women doing the sport. It was women doing the sport.
So she was like one of the first, like when they got started getting younger.
Yes, and she was throwing the tricks, and she was doing all these things, and everybody went, oh, we can do that with the little ones.
Yeah.
So that's when kids started coming in. Now, this is where people have to make sure they pay attention. The predators are going to go to the place where there's a weakness.
Sure.
Because they're not going to come in and cause the problem. They're going to come in and pretend they are the solution to the problem.
They're going to exploit the problem.
Exactly. They want you to think they are the nice one to come to comfort, the one you should trust, the one you need to see in a positive light so that when there's a problem going on over there, you come to them, you feel comforted, so that whenever they do find the right time to strike, you believe what they're doing. It's like, well, they wouldn't hurt me. They do the right thing.
Yeah, they're looking out
now
for
they
me.
can do what they want to do.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, it's also ripe in that kind of environment where, and I think this is something you and I had talked about at the time, that you're teaching kids to do things and expect things and have things happen to their bodies that's not normal, that they know isn't normal.
right.
Just in the skills and the things that you have them doing in general and training and all of that. So it's ripe for someone to come in and do other things that are not normal, right? Like, and they've now been trained mentally to accept things like that.
It's a very hands-on sport for coaches. It's a sport where I can't think of any other sport really where you have to physically put your hands on someone to get them to put their body in a certain place to understand it, or to spot them to make sure they're safe.
Yeah.
So it's a very hands-on sport. So it lends itself to that. And it makes it so that you can do that, and then you can change things up a little bit here and there to exploit in a way you want to.
Yeah.
The problem that USA Gymnastics has is when you have those kind of doors open, the other part is you've chosen to be abusive to the kids outside of that. Now you're the weakness.
Yeah.
And now the predator sees that weakness, and now they can come in because they're the comforter.
I'm just going to piggyback on you.
Yes. You had all these coaches who were being abusive. Here comes old nice Nasser giving the kids candy when the Carollis say you can't eat this. Carollis will walk away when they're at the camp, and he'd come in at night and go, "Here you go, kids, have some chips or some candy." So now he's the nice guy.
Yeah.
So he can spit out the strangest things about this is a technique that helps the kids heal.
Yeah.
I'm not going to even mention what it was. You can go look it up.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
There's
You can read it and
documentaries
go,
on that. Yeah. Like,
why
what?
would you even think that's even a thing? Because you've been groomed enough.
Yeah.
Grooming is an amazing thing, and you think you would not be, you couldn't be subject to it. It's like, no, I would see
Yeah,
that.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, when you're taught what's normal.
It's normalized.
Yeah, like.
It seriously becomes normalized, and if you
Yeah.
don't click and go,
Yeah,
hold on for a
Well, you gotta
second.
it's it's what you talked about earlier. It's like trusting yourself.
Yes.
Right, and like being able to say like, no, hold on.
Yeah.
Like
And
I'm not good with it.
And that even goes with the
You
work.
tell me it's normal. I'm not good with it.
That goes back to the working out thing where we were talking about people doing what everybody else is doing.
Yeah.
And people are afraid to break out of that.
Yeah.
It's like, is this what everybody else is doing? I should be doing it too. When you get into those situations, people are afraid to speak up because now they're going to stand out.
Yeah.
What if I'm wrong? What if I'm right and I'm the only one talking about it?
Yeah.
What's going to happen when I speak up? What's going to happen if I'm the victim and I speak up and people don't believe me? And you see people go attacking the victim. It doesn't matter if it's a child. They go straight after the children. It just disgusts me to every end. But until you as an individual say, I'm okay with just doing the right thing, just do the right thing, all these things are always going to happen. If you just want to pretend like it's not going to happen, it's going to happen.
I mean, it's that's the age-old thing, right? Not everybody's got the courage.
No.
You know, like
it's really
it's just sociology, like is a very strong, you know, like the sociology of groupthink, you know, is such a strong thing to overcome, right?
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, no, I get it. And so, I mean, do you think, you know, are parents now kind of more in tune, do you think, you know, after that, or still kind of just oblivious?
I think everybody after that was still oblivious. I think they thought about it until it's like knocking at your door. You're not going to even contemplate that it's going to happen.
Yeah.
You just aren't. Before my situation happened, and we were talking about the
I mean, you've
thing.
seen this. So, like, you've seen this firsthand, right?
I got fired because of it.
Yeah.
Not because I did it, because I knew somebody else was doing it.
Yeah.
And people did not want to believe that that's what was happening.
Yeah.
No matter how much I'm saying, no, guys, I got banned and fired because I was pushing and saying, I'm not comfortable with what you're doing, and that what you're doing looks like a slippery slope, and I'm afraid of what's going to be next.
Yeah.
At the time, I didn't realize there was a next already.
Yeah. Like, you've crossed the line.
Yeah,
already.
you've crossed the
Like,
line.
Yeah.
But this is what predators are good at.
Yeah.
He had already set traps
Blurring it. Yeah.
everywhere to make people doubt me. I didn't know I was being sabotaged behind my back. With the kids,
the second
with
they
the
get
parents.
a whiff of you're not on board,
Yeah.
like they're already
Yeah.
kind of making
It's like he
plans
can't
for
control
that.
me.
Yeah.
He couldn't control me.
It's the manipulation of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be a master manipulator if you're going to be.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't
somewhat
call
like
him a
that.
master. He just been doing it for 2 decades. He just became good enough a habit, and
Yeah.
people are still afraid to believe it's true.
Yeah.
But I've seen the evidence.
Yeah.
It's
But I mean,
ridiculous.
that's gotta mess with you pretty hard though. Like, you know, after everything kind of that you've been through and like what you've come from and all of that, to then have somebody like that, you know, have set you up, you know, and see you as kind of like, you know, somebody that they can make a mark as a distraction.
A distraction is exactly what it
Yeah.
was. Yeah, and I thought that I I wanted it to be a good friend.
Yeah.
But then I have to go back to what I said earlier, and the thing that gave me clarity is like, see people for who they are, not what you want them to be.
Yeah.
So I had to remove that cloud that was being put over me and say, you know what you've seen.
Yeah.
You know what these signs are. Your number one priority as a coach is those kids' safety. Everything else goes away. Now, you need to take everything you've been through, everything you've learned, everything that's made you tough enough, everything that's made you drop all your insecurities, everything that has made you who you are for this moment to help these kids.
Put it to the test. Yeah.
Yeah, so that they feel confident enough to come forward to tell their story. So I did what I needed to do to go, I've got your back. Let them aim at me. Let me be the distraction that they were trying to cause. Aim at me while they run over here and report you. And you think it's me, and you think I'm doing all the reporting, and you think I'm doing all this stuff, which I did report, but I wasn't the first, which I found out, if you didn't know that. And go from and let these people go. And I did that in September. They started their official investigation with an investigator in October. They're still getting interviews
Really?
as of 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Still.
That's a long time to be.
That's a lot of
But
evidence, though.
That's
a lot. That's a lot of evidence.
Yeah.
There is that. Yeah, it's a lot of evidence. Like I said,
But that person's been, I'm assuming, like taken out of the equation, at least sidelined for no.
No. He was given temporary restrictions.
Okay.
Because it's very hard for them without evidence to do anything of weight.
Mm-hmm.
But the mom gave Safe Sport 400 pages of text messages that he was sending to her daughter. And they read those texts. And the mom said, I'm worried about her having to walk through that door because that gym was the host for the state camp.
Oh, okay.
I'm worried about her walking through that door and him coming up to her.
And saying something, yeah.
And doing his thing to her because he was abusive to her. I reported the abuse I saw. I did not know the text messages at the time.
That it was
I did not
happening
know.
elsewhere. Wow.
I reported the abuse. I reported the crying, the one-on-ones in his office, the Snapchats he was sending to her. Yeah, you're almost a 40-year-old man. There's no excuse for sending Snapchats to a teenager.
Yeah, like
Multiple.
You've got no business being on Snapchat.
There's no. We all know what Snapchat does. Your
like
message
why
goes,
you're
deletes.
doing it.
It deletes. It goes away. There's no reason for that. So when they saw that and heard a couple of things, they went no. To have temporary restrictions which means they can keep you from doing certain things until the investigation is closed. Mm-hmm. You got to have some heavy, hard evidence.
Yeah.
And they had heavy, hard evidence. So they gave him temporary restrictions. But at the same time, because it's not a full investigation complete yet, they gave him people who could look out for, I can't use the word now, I can't find the word. Finally, a word slipped out of my head. Who he would have to look after him to make sure he's not doing certain things.
Like be chaperoned kind of thing?
Yes, the chaperone. There you go. There's the word, chaperone. Yeah, that word. And he was able to get 2 people who are in the gym right now doing it for him. And the problem with that is that they're protecting what they already know is happening. And but they can't do anything about it. I understand why they can't. I mean, if they wanted to say no.
Yeah.
They are affiliated with the gym, and that we have some people who are using their name and participating in some of the behavior, not any like physical, but other stuff, then we can't take that chance either. But they're, but like I'm patient with it, and I think a lot of people have got a lot of getting closure, and they've had things. I mean, there are multiple kids where parents were calling me after I came forward and said everything they were saying. My kid's going through therapy and still in therapy. That my kid's it's been painful for her all this time, and that the parents are coming forward and saying, I thought I was the only one. I thought it was crazy with the way I was being treated. Yeah. But to hear you talk about how you were treated and how it was a mirror reflection, let me know that there was something not right, and for me to put everything in light in a way that people could go, oh. Yeah. Oh. And that's helped a lot of people get a lot of clarity and freedom. But even going through that process, to get to that point, like my mom dying was one big point of change for me. My coming clean was a second. This was the third. Mm-hmm. This is where I knew my life was about to make a big change and a jump to where I start doing something different. And none of those things come without like a giant fall. Mm-hmm. And after I went through what I did in April, I was just banned from the gym and had a plethora of lies told about me until I finally went, I've tried to contact you for 3 times and you've avoided me because I met with you and I called you out on every lie and you had no answer for it. Now you're scared because you can't manipulate me. Yeah. You need to be a man, look me in the face and do what you're going to do. And he sent me an email firing me. So not a man.
How long did it take you to get kind of like find another place to be, like, and get back on your feet? Or was it something that you kind of just retreated and?
I retreated. I went through therapy for the first time in my life. I went to, if you don't want to count the rehab thing, I went to therapy. I got a therapist for like 3 months, and the only reason I didn't do it for longer is because I didn't have any more money.
Yeah, that's expensive.
So
Yeah.
I didn't do it, and I was broken. I was done with the sport. I was done.
Really?
I was done. I wasn't going to go back. I was like, this is too painful. This thing that I have loved for 40 years of my life.
And did you see it as kind of being broken too? Like
was-
it's not like they haven't fixed it, and like this is.
I didn't see myself being okay walking through a door again to do it.
To be involved in it, yeah.
I talked to a therapist about it, and I was like, I don't know how comfortable I am feeling going in, and I just have these moments where it's like I just flash, and I just get this anger, and he goes, because you have PTSD.
Yeah.
That's why.
That's the thing, yeah.
That's what you have. And I was like,
yeah.
I would not have related it to that, but I had nights where I couldn't sleep. I had moments where I couldn't keep my thoughts straight. I just had moments where I would just break down, and I had to deal with that for 3 months. And I kept saying to my therapist, I have to speak, I have to speak, I have to speak. I feel like if I get this out, I will feel better. And he's like, why do you feel like you need to do that? And I said, because I think a part of it is because I have some sense of guilt about the fact that I know something's going on,
Yeah.
and I can't warn anybody.
Yeah.
And if I can have that sense of freedom to get that out, that I'll be okay. And I told a couple of people that I was going to do it, and they're like, be careful about what you say. It's like, but I'm only going to tell the truth. I'm not going to worry about it. And it's like, yeah, but still, it's like, no, it's the truth. If you want to sue me because I'm telling the truth, take me to a courtroom.
Is that like, are you talking about like kind of like doing the actual official reporting, or had you already done that? Or are you talking about kind of like just making it like a public statement of like, this is what has happened to me?
Making a public statement. I made a bunch of videos. The trigger was after a few months, and the gymnastics community is amazing. The part that broke me was because I invested so much into that gym, and that was my family, and that was where I planned to stay for the rest of my gymnastics days, and nobody ever says that in gymnastics. So it was a breakup. It was a breakup after 15 years. It was a divorce. It was a nasty divorce.
And what did you find was the reception to that, the videos that you posted?
After I left, I didn't leave, but people were calling to check on me to see how I was doing, because they knew it was against my character.
Yeah.
It's like there's like something's not right.
Yeah.
Something's not right. Something's not right. And that's why the community was amazing. The gymnastics community in South Carolina, they had my back.
Yeah.
They had my back. No matter what, they're like, there's no reason you would not I hadn't said anything at the time, but something's not right. Why would he do that to you? You made that program. You made that program. Why would he do that? And I kind of told people. And then after I heard about the one main athlete that he groomed to the T, I kind of call her our Athlete A. If you haven't watched Athlete A on Netflix,
that's an amazing documentary.
It will shock you to the core. It makes me so angry about a lot of things that were done. But she was like our Athlete A. He had kicked her. Well, he had always threatened to kick her out of the gym to control her. It's like, you know what? I can't handle it. I need to feel like I'm comfortable coming into my own gym. I just need to kick you out. I just need to kick you out. I'm like, you're a grown man and you can't control you're putting your emotions on a child?
Yeah.
And I confronted him about that a couple of times. Like, why are you making her responsible for your emotions? Why are you doing that?
Yeah, you're an adult, allegedly. Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
And then I heard from other coaches, because the community is small, it zoomed around Myrtle Beach at the speed of light, that he had finally kicked her out and did it publicly in front of all the kids.
Oh my God.
And said to her, you're the reason why the program's not doing well. You can't be here anymore. Get out. That's what I
horrible.
heard. That's what I heard.
That's
I wasn't there, so
horrible.
I'm not gonna say that's what happened. But
So, and this was after you had left.
this was like August now, and I'm going through 3 months of like I'm just
Is that a little bit of what the
dying.
catalyst was of you kind of
That-
making, like, putting it out there?
That was the catalyst, because then I had been dancing in my head with, I want to talk to this parent because she had been put through the ringer also. She was basically treated the same way.
Yeah.
I mean, he used her to get to her kid, and even turned them against each other so that he could pull the child away from the
Yeah.
mom.
Yeah. Divide and conquer. Yeah.
It was shocking, and he accused the mom of something that didn't register. He accused her of sexually assaulting him. Then I say this is sick. This is the levels that people will go to feed their addiction.
Yeah,
This
that's
kind of
nuts.
stuff, when you're doing this to children or anybody, it's an addiction. You're trying to fill an addiction. This was a codependency that was feeding an addiction, and you will do whatever it takes, and you'll destroy whatever it takes to meet that high.
Yeah.
So he said that because instead of dealing with the emotions he had connected with that mom, which he was doing the dance of, do I like her, do I not like her, do I like her, do I not like her, the codependent in him was like, kick her away before she hurts you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he pretty much treated that mom the same way. So I was like, okay, I have to call this mom after I heard that. I was like, hey, I heard about what happened with your child. I have some questions about some stuff that happened with you too. The next day, we sat down and we talked.
Yeah.
And she told me about what happened with her daughter. I told her what happened with me. She told me things that happened with her, and I had not said anything publicly yet. And she was mimicking everything that happened to me that I hadn't told anybody.
So it was the pattern of
It
like
was a
of him
pattern.
kind of just extricating people.
But
yeah.
he did such a good job of making everybody think that she was the person that was wrong. And at that moment, when I saw what he was doing to me, I was like, this behavior he's doing to me, and I know I'm telling the truth, is
Yeah.
exactly what I saw him do with other people.
Yeah.
So I need to do some research.
Yeah.
I need to dig
There's
in.
more here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's when I went, I don't trust. Now I know I can't trust what he said. This
Yeah.
was a setup.
Yeah.
And I told her, and her eyes lit up and she yelled. It's like, he said I did what? And then she pulls her phone out and she shows me text messages that he sent her. Let me just say, for somebody who you just accused of sexual assault, you really were a little bit too friendly with them after the fact. You were way too friendly with them.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, no, you don't have to worry about that. Yeah. It's like, thank you for showing me that, because that just shows me.
It solidifies it.
It,
yeah.
it solidifies it.
Yeah.
So that Friday that happened, that Sunday, I made a list of videos and put them up on Facebook and went, all right, here we go. And then it exploded.
Was it as cathartic as
exploded.
you were hoping that it was going to be?
To an extent.
Okay.
To an extent, it was. It was. I did feel better. It's still a lot of other stuff I needed to happen, which up to recently didn't just happen, but it did help, because now I felt as if my voice was taken away from me on purpose
Yeah.
to hide who I was.
Well, I mean,
what
I
was
could
happening.
tell that, like, and that's what, why I kind of use that word too, because like I could tell, having watched them, because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
Just you could tell as you kind of like went through them, that what it was doing for you personally, and,
Yeah.
and that you were just getting it out.
Yeah.
Right. And, just, also kind of then, going through the comments and looking at like, some of the, the reaction to it. And then, I mean, let's face it. I mean, we're talking about a gym that so many people around town.
It was the first gym in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah, kids
The
go to.
first.
So it's like, it's the one that I knew about among, anything, right? So like just, this has affected so many people.
That was
around
ride
town.
or
Yeah.
die for this gym.
Yeah.
Ride or die. And I defended him on so many moments when a lot of people asked questions. I was like, well, no, he's got this going on and stuff like that. And then I stepped back, and now I'm in this moment, and I've talked to those people, and they're all like, we told you. We're like, we knew something was off. And I was like, you're so right. And I can't believe I defended so many of those things because I did not think I could connect it to that.
Yeah.
It just did not register. No matter all the little things I was watching happening that was normalized, it still didn't connect. When you're sitting in the middle of being groomed, you don't see it.
Yeah. Do you think you're through it now? Like, I mean, is it, I mean, obviously, like, what that situation is still about being resolved, right?
Yeah.
But, like, you personally, do you think you're kind of, you're through it? You know, like, you're at a new gym now. You have, like, you know, a new, you know, a new group of kids that you're working with in a totally different environment, you know, a different part of town, et cetera. Like, do you think you've kind of moved through it?
I think I'm almost there. I think I'm almost there. After that happened, the first part of it that summer was, my voice has been quieted. Nobody knows what has happened to me, but the rumor mill and what he has put out there has put out a narrative.
Yeah.
I need to shut the narrative down, and I need to bring the receipts out. After that, it was me not making any contact with anybody. By that time, I had started working at a new gym, Ocean Flippers, awesome. It's North Myrtle. It feels like the way it used to feel. And to walk in and feel that, you walk in and you hear the kids, no matter what event they're at, cheering for the other kids on that event. When they achieve anything, when you talk to the coaches and you're all of the same mind. Doesn't mean you agree with everything the other person's saying, but you have the same goal.
The team thing back.
And you understand how you're going to get to that goal, and you want to do that goal together. You feel that, and it just to have that, and everybody has the thirst to want to do more. That's the way it should feel.
That's what it's about.
I got to, that helped a lot of healing. That helped me get to a place, but I still hadn't been around any other coaches. I knew the day was going to have to come where I was going to have to be at a meet with all of them. I knew, because I knew a lot of what was going on there, because a lot of parents that were in there and still are there.
Oh, sure.
Oh, they were ratting and they were talking. Like, so there were parents who recorded meetings for me that they don't know. And I've got that first meeting they had recorded. They were letting me know all this stuff. And they're like, the only reason we'll stay here is because we don't want to take the gymnastics away from our kid, but our eyes are open now. So we feel like it's okay. So I don't judge them for that at all.
Yeah.
If it was me, I'd yank it immediately and go, you can take a few months off and we'll get you in another gym during the summer. But I don't fault them for that, because if nothing happened, if nobody believed me, I knew now all of your eyes are open.
Exactly.
And every time you see something, there's going to be that seed of doubt in your head where you go, what was that?
They're going to question a lot more. Yeah.
So once I got through all that, and it's the beginning of February is where I had to, the first meet where I was like with a bunch of other coaches in South Carolina, and they were there. And to watch all those coaches come to me and talk to me and say how much they had my back, and other stuff I'm not going to say because I'm not going to rub it in anymore. But as I was leaving, I was told a couple of things more about my worry during all that time was that they were still not just spreading stuff about me. I'm okay with that. I know I got the truth on my side. But this air of we can't be touched. Yeah. And it bothered me.
The arrogance of it, yeah.
By the end of that meet, it went from that to watching him kiss the rear ends of so many coaches going, we're still okay, right? Yeah, man, you have always been good. Now, he's saying this about coaches that he has talked the most shit about behind their backs. And some of them know it. But every single one of them he's done that with. Yeah. You know, and a couple of them came to me, and I looked at them and went, and he knows, you've talked shit about him, and he's coming to you. And it's like this thing in my head went, tide's changed. Yeah. He knows he's in trouble now. Yeah. He knows he can't get it. He knows he's done now.
Yeah, now we're in damage control.
He knows nobody in the community believes him because they all know how this works.
Yeah.
They know how this whole situation works. They know my character. They know his character.
Yeah.
They know my work. They know his work. They put two and two together, and they've watched.
Yeah.
They get it. To watch them all not believe because they're not groomed to believe, and to watch that process of watching
Like the deconstruction. Of it,
them just go, oh crap.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah.
okay. And it's just that
there.
little mental part where you just keep beating yourself up, going, how can you just actually act like that? How can you think you're okay? Why would you even, why are you supporting this when you know? And just that fight. And to watch it go, no, they don't believe that. They know.
No.
That was a major.
You succeeded
healing
in,
point.
at least, it's a good measure of what you set out to do.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so that's, I mean, that's really how you get through it.
Yeah. And the time,
it's just
and it
kind
won't
of
last
same.
long. It's just biding time. They're just gathering. I believe they're just gathering as much information. So when they call them up and say, these are the accusations against you,
Yeah.
you are kicked out. If you want to have arbitration, you can. But we're going to have to go through every single one of these things over and over again. And you're going to have to dispute every single one of them. So you can either leave or we can open this book up and we can go through it and dispute it.
Yeah.
So they're just building up a case.
Yeah. I'm sure. So last thing then,
All right.
So getting down to it, who would you say was the biggest influence on you, to date? Coming up to this point in time.
Oh, gosh. I feel like, I think there's so many little parts of me that come together to make a whole that there isn't any one person that really just flipped everything. The closest would probably be my mom. But I feel like there's just been like these little moments where this person drove me here. This person drove me in this part. This person drove me here. This is the person I looked up to for this. I feel like those little parts happened to the point where, I mean, honestly, that the person I look up to the most is myself. I'm extremely proud of where I've come from.
That's a good thing.
I'm very
That's huge.
proud of the fight I've put up. I'm proud of what I stand for and who I stand up for. I'm amazed at how far I've come. I am thankful to have been able to be an example for people that actually people want to come to me and know what I have to say and want to hear from me and want to talk to me and be friends with me, or just I'm extremely proud of where I've come from.
I mean, I think rightfully so. I mean, clearly you've been through a lot, and even just learning more, today. But I mean, I think I said this to you more than once in the past, but, because in the past I asked you, to kind of take over coaching the competition team that we had and, to coach classes and things like that. And just with what you do in general, I always thought of you as, the true sense of the word coach. Right. But I think it's more than just those activities that kind of gives me that sense and makes me feel that way. Because I really do think that you kind of have that just embodiment of what a coach should be. And obviously it's been an evolution, but I think that's what it is. And, I think that's the thing that I admire most is that aspect of you that, you're willing to help other people be what is the right thing for them to be, or that you sense, I mean, no one knows but them, right? But just feeling from them what is the right thing, right? And I
Yeah.
think that's something that I've seen you bring out in a lot of people, and obviously it seems to be kind of like your calling and your passion from the gymnastic standpoint of it. But just, I mean, I've seen you do with just regular people around the gym and just in everyday conversations of like, well, like you said, doing the right thing,
Yeah.
right? And like I think, you know, that's one of the things about being a coach is like, you know, there's the right and the wrong of what we're trying to do from a skill set or a sport or like, you know, whatever it is that we're coaching, but just like an overall life, right?
Yeah.
Like what is the, you know, what's right for you?
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's kind of what comes out and
Yeah.
like what I get from you.
You know, even when I was coaching here, it's the least expertise I have. I was good at doing it, but I never felt comfortable with the coaching. I never, ever felt comfortable with it. But I knew if people trusted me enough that I was going to do the best I could and learn as much as I could and just say to them, it's like, hey, I'm going to help you as best I can. This is not my expertise. But then they go, it's like, but I trust you.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's good. Most of coaching is, you know, showing people you give a shit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like, and that you want to kind of get it, you know, do it together.
Yeah.
You know, and help them. So, like, I mean, I think that's a big part of it, and I think that's what I see in you. I've always seen in you, and that I admire. So.
I'm thankful people see me that way, and it's I think this third phase of my life is being comfortable with people seeing me in that light and now not allowing people to take that light away from me.
Yeah.
I think that was a lot of the lessons I had to learn. It's like to be able to shine that light and be strong enough to not let anybody darken that light for you or anybody else.
Yeah. And I mean, I
So-
think that's an inspiration for everybody, right? Like
Yeah.
that's the way that, you know, that's what you should strive for.
I
honestly.
hope. I said to people, 2023 was FAFO. Fuck around and find out. And everybody got tired of everybody's mess and things started going on.
Yeah.
And 2024 is just bringing the truth to light. Now that everybody has had that moment, it's that now let's not be afraid to stand up and say the right thing.
Yeah.
To quote the famous Cat Williams, who started 2024 off just right, do not let the liars write the story. I can't remember how he said it, but I'm paraphrasing it. It's like, do not let liars write the story for your life. I can't remember exactly how he said it. Don't let the liars tell the story. Don't.
Right.
Don't.
Right.
Step up. Don't be afraid to speak. Don't let them write the narrative. Speak your truth.
Yeah,
Put
own
it
your
out
own
there.
narrative. I mean,
Own it.
that's it.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Well, thank you for sitting with me. Like,
You
this has
are
been
welcome.
awesome. Like, yeah, like I said, I always enjoy chatting with you. Like,
Thank
there's
you.
never been a time that I haven't. So,
thank you.
thanks for sitting down with me, and we'll definitely do it again.
I'd love to. Hopefully, maybe I'll get you to speak on mine because I hope to do that
Oh,
soon.
yeah, let me know.
So,
All right,
definitely.
great. All right, talk to you soon.
all right, thank you.